kum means you all. But there's only one. Technically speaking, we should say salam alayka if you're masculine, or salam alayki if you're feminine. But we say salam alaykum. So this use of plural exists not only in Arabic, it exists in the Semitic languages. This is why you will also find in the Bible, God referring to himself, what is authentic, maybe considered authentic of it, in plural forms. A further question?
Dr Bilal, I'd like to ask one question, please. What about the Judaism and the Jews? So Quran Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ عُزَيْرٌ ابْنُ اللَّهِ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ اللَّهِ. Is there anything pertaining that God becoming a man in Judaism and in the Jews' beliefs? Thank you.
Okay, our brother's question, for those of you who couldn't make it out, it's a bit garbled, the sound of the microphone not that strong. Is there anything from Jewish beliefs that indicate they hold that God became a man? Well, we can find a text which has to do with Prophet Jacob, that he wrestled with an individual. And as they describe this process of wrestling, etc., it implies that Jacob is actually wrestling with God. And they say the name Israel means the one who wrestled with God. So there are implications of it there. Though the Jews don't make it a basic part of their belief system, they don't make it a basic part of the belief system, they do have that within the text of their scripture. Furthermore, you can also find many references where God is portrayed in human terms. For example, when Adam ate from the tree, Adam and Eve ate from the tree, they realized they'd done wrong, and they went and they hid. It is described in Genesis that Adam could hear God's footsteps in the garden. And God called out, Adam, where are you? You can't find out where Adam is. Adam is hiding behind a tree. So he's portraying God in these kind of, human kind of terms. Unable to know, walking in the garden, you can hear his footsteps. God is also described as feeling sorry about what he thought to do to the Jews, repenting. All of these terminologies are used with regard to God in the Old Testament. And specifically the area which is referred to as the Torah, you can find a number of references like that. In the Talmud, which is the tafsir, the Jewish tafsir of the Torah, they have many references where they speak about God, having conferences with the rabbis. Before he does something on the earth, he has a conference with the rabbis, gets their permission, and then he goes ahead and does certain things. Again, lowering God to this point of, almost being the personal servant of the Jewish people. When they need something, he's there. He's their personal God, the Lord God of Israel. He became sort of like a personalized God of theirs. Like somebody has a genie, you rub the lamp and the genie pops up, and you have 3 wishes, you tell him to do this or do that. That is sort of God to them. And that the God is committed to them to do whatever they need, whatever Israel needs, etc., etc. A written question. I want to know the answer regarding the question in your lecture, can God create a stone which he cannot carry? No. No, because he said that contradicts God being God. That is a ludicrous question, which we don't really entertain, because the concept involves canceling or negating the divinity or God's quality of being God. Could the Muslim women begin Islamic greetings to a man that is not from her maharim? Meaning, can a Muslim woman say Assalamu alaikum to any man? Yes. Islam does not forbid it. Muslim cultures may have forbidden it. But of course, if it is done, it should be done in a business-like fashion. Because it's something very dangerous we would have to be very conscious of. Because if there's somebody that they like, then they will say, Salaam alaikum. If it's somebody that, that they don't particularly, Salaam alaikum. Hey, this is the one that you have to use, right? If you're going to say Salaam alaikum, then you must use the one which isn't got, the softness in the voice, which obviously, so the point is that it should be business-like. Okay, we'll take this as the last question. What? Yeah, okay, I think I better, unless this top question, so the people have gone off our topic somewhat, right? Asking about greetings, etc. If you got a question which is right on the topic?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Sheikh Abu Amina, my question is about tawassul or intercession. Is that close enough?
Intercession. Okay, the topic also.
Unfortunately, I found many Muslims misguided to think that they can make a tawassul or intercession by often Sufi people have died and they're in their graves, and they may go there, whereas they tell me that they will say something like, by the love, oh Allah, by the love you have for this Sheikh so-and-so, please give me a child, or give me money, or give me a soldier, or give me some bike, or something like this. And what I wanted to ask is, what kind of da'wah, what kind of information should a Muslim try to bring to these misled Muslims that this is forbidden by the Book of Allah and the Sunnah, which is
again, this topic, the concept of intercession, it's a big topic. The book which I did, again, The Fundamentals of Tawheed, has a whole section dealing with it. It is worth reading for those of you who want to go into more detail. But we have to look at what is the essence, what is the idea behind this. When a person does this, that he calls upon God through others, it comes from the idea, common in our world, that if you want to get something done, you must use some kind of intermediary. You want to see the president of the country, you can't just go to his office, knock on his door and say, hey, listen, I'd like to have a conversation with you. No. You have to find somebody who knows somebody, who knows somebody, who knows somebody, and in this way your requests or your desires can be fulfilled. So people will present this, as a rationale for explaining why you need to go through somebody. Because you yourself, you try to approach God, who are you? You are nobody, committing so many sins, etc. Now you want to get to God, you need to get through somebody who's close to God. Somebody who will call a wali, for example, a saint. He was close to God. Therefore, if you want to get to God, the best thing is to use his position relative to God to get your prayers answered. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he told his own daughter Fatima, oh Fatima, work, do whatever you can for yourself, because I can do nothing for you on the day of judgment. There's nothing I can do. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was not able to help Abu Talib out of the hellfire. His uncle who raised him, took care of him, everything else, and he couldn't help him. So it is delusion on our part to think that we can call on others or utilize the closeness of others to Allah to benefit ourselves. No. Allah deals with us directly. He's not like the kings and the presidents and the directors and the managers of this world. Allah says, "Ud'uni astajib lakum." Call on me and I will answer your prayers. He didn't say call on somebody close to me. He said call on me.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Brother Harun. Well, my question is basically the creation of man and the relation between God and man. And I can't quote that it was actually yours. I read some of your books about how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ descended to the heavens. And also the creation of man, how man was created. I believe there's like a tafsir given about the creation of Adam. And it was kind of something like that he was the clay that was brought to create him was coming from all parts of the earth in different colors. I would kind of like for you to clarify exactly, you know, what is the understanding for us as human beings, Muslims? Because for me, it seems as if it's giving me an idea on, you know, a visual idea on how man was created and how the angels passed by him. And then they ask Allah, that is, will you create something? So how it coincides with what the Quran is saying, but it's sort of unclear, and it kind of leaves me with a look like Christians. They look at the picture Jesus and say, this is Jesus, you know? So the thing is, I want to know, what is there a tafsir out there? And do you have any kind of clarity about that?
Well, the concept of man's creation, the details of how it took place, this has not been given to us. There are stories, you know, many of which are not authentic, describing the process, but really, we don't have anything authentic clarifying the details. What we do know, as you did mention, is that Adam was created from earth, from all over the planet, and this was informing us that the variety which exists amongst us today existed with Adam at the time of creation. The clarification for us. Where did all this variety of people come from? It came from Adam. He had these qualities in himself. It was in his genes. All of us, in all of our forms, etc., existed with him. But the concept of God's creation of Adam shouldn't be one in which we think of God actually, molding Adam as a human being would mold an image out of clay or whatever. It's not that process. And Allah, though He describes the making of Adam, again, with the agency of the angels, etc., he refers to it as being His making. As the blowing is His blowing, the making is His making. And the details of it, as I said, we don't need to get into it. Allah didn't go into the details for us because it is really not relevant. It really is of no relevance. We know Allah, nothing is like Him. He said He created Adam this way, that way, whatever, and we just go with that. We don't get into the anthropomorphic types of understandings, where we start to conceive of God, in terms. Follow up? A different question or? Okay, follow it up.
Just remembering, it was something like someone was told, I'm not sure, but when Adam, when the ruh, he went into his soul and it got, I believe, down to his nose, he sneezed.
Yeah, this is a part of the story, brother.
But this is not authentic.
No, you see, before, the first thing you need to do, before...
Because this, I'm sorry to cut you, because this is coming from a Muslim, so it needs to be clear for the Muslims to be aware of these things, because people are coming with all this information. And for me, I couldn't accept it, you know what I mean? I just feel that Allah said, kun fayakun, be it is. These things, these ideologies, it's kind of can mix up a Muslim that he's not based thoroughly. So
yeah, well, the point is that whenever we get into these kind of areas, it's very important that we ensure that the information that we have is authentic. That's the beginning point, right? Then after we've confirmed its authenticity, then we have to look at it in the light of whatever else we know about Islam. Because anytime you take a text, either a statement of the Prophet ﷺ or a statement from the Quran, and you take it out of the context of the whole Sunnah and of the whole Quran, then you can change meanings. You can create understandings which are contrary to the understanding that was intended. As you, Brother Bilal, said, the Holy Quran is incorrect. So explain to me how God can be correct, whose origins from Christianity and has chances of wording God's plural, goddess female, where Allah has no tampering chances. Well, again, I thought I touched that and tried to leave it. You know, the point here, Holy Quran, as I said, has no basis in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad or his companion statements. It has no basis. Whereas God has a basis in the Quran and in the Sunnah. The term God is used. It may not be God, English God, but it is God, Arabic God. Ilah, Al-Ilah. These terms are used in reference to God. So it has a basis in the Quran, it has a basis in the Sunnah, so it is legitimate to use it. And just as Ilah has a feminine version, Ilaha, goddess, Aliha, also gods, Alihat, goddesses, it all exists. In Arabic also. Yet God still uses the term Ilah in reference to himself. Okay, these are our last two questions, and the question of the brother concerning Christmas, we'll try to deal with. These are the last questions, actually. This was the statement of our chairman here. Why did Christians corrupt the correct understanding of God as taught to them by Jesus? This is the work of Satan. This is the work of Satan. Christians, the true followers of Jesus, they did not corrupt the teachings of Jesus. They continued those teachings. As I mentioned, James was referred to as the brother of Jesus. What the brother of Jesus here means, even Christian scholars are not certain. Some say it means his cousin. Some say it is in reference to closeness to him. You know, a variety of different explanations they've given for it. For our purposes, we don't need to get into it. We're not going to argue that he was in fact actually the brother of Jesus or not. But that term is referred to by that term, and he was a big figure in early Christianity. A figure who has been deleted from modern Christianity. The vast majority of Christians, if you ask them, do you know about James, the brother of Jesus? What? Jesus had a brother? Yeah. Well, hey, you know, you go to Acts verse this, you go to, they're mentioned, actually mentioned in the Gospels. People read it, they don't even, it doesn't catch their mind to stop and think, hey, what does this mean? Let us find out. So, he has been written out of the texts which are used in modern Christianity, but he exists as a prominent figure, the leader of Christianity in the first 3 decades after the time of Jesus. So the corrupt understanding was not taught by early Christians, but by Paul, a convert, supposed convert from Judaism, who promoted the paganization of Jesus, concept of Jesus, concept of God, having a son, becoming a man, etc., etc. And the Greek and Roman Christians, they put backing behind it, and it eventually became, by the 4th century, the dominant belief amongst Christians. The person is asking, when did this corruption creep in? How did the process of corruption proceed? In my book called The True Message of Jesus Christ, I do outline in there the stages by which the Trinitarian concept, the concept of Jesus was God, took a hold, and I also identify in there the monotheists, those who held and stuck firmly to the monotheistic beliefs, how they continued to hold it for a number of centuries. You know, the 4th century, when the decision was made in the Council of Nicaea to confirm that Jesus was God, 3 gods in one, etc., etc. The bishop or the presbyter of Alexandria, Arius, he was one of the dissenters who refused to sign the document. And as a result, he was excommunicated, branded a heretic, and his followers were hunted down. And you know what happened, etc. after that is explained there. Also, there's a book called Jesus, the Prophet of Islam, in which Ata Rahman, he traces the evolution of monotheism amongst Christians, you know, from the past until present day. What do you think the root cause of weakness in the Islamic world as a whole? As we can see very obviously in the same, in some countries the Muslims are being oppressed with regards to Islam, and Islamic countries remain silent. Well, this is not really related to our topic. This concept will be dealt with in the lecture which I should do tomorrow evening on the clash of civilizations. I will now just deal with a question which our brother asked, the very first question. I know his intention was to try to catch some of the people before they left. Sorry about that. You know, some of those who may have this idea that there's nothing wrong in taking part in Christmas celebrations, you know, either directly or indirectly. We don't necessarily believe what they believe. We're just being cordial. You know, as they wish us Happy Eid, we say to them Happy Christmas. You know, what's the harm? You don't believe, they don't believe. We're just being cordial. Well, the point is that it is not permitted for a Muslim to greet a Christian Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas. It is not permitted. It is haram. The greeting Merry Christmas is taking part in the celebration of the birth of God. The idea which is completely against Islamic teachings, fundamentally against Islamic teachings. To express it, even in cordiality or, you know, trying to be friendly or whatever, this is not acceptable. It is the duty of Muslims, if they are wished whatever Merry Christmas, then it is the duty of Muslims to clarify to the non-Muslims that this is not really appropriate. Jesus, even the date of Jesus' birth is not. This was something developed many, many years after the time of Jesus. The early 300 years after Jesus' time, they never celebrated anybody's birthday because it was known that birthday celebrations was pagan. This is why in the Bible, the only people you hear celebrating birthday was Pharaoh, the pagan ruler of Egypt, and Herod, the pagan ruler of Palestine. These are the only people celebrating birthdays, pagan rulers. It was not the Jewish tradition to celebrate birthdays at all, known to be pagan. So early Christians forbade it. Actually, you had many struggles amongst Christians in the 13th, 15th, 18th centuries where they struggled amongst each other. Some were opposed to the celebration of Christmas. The early Puritans, you know, who went to America, they were opposed to it. They didn't celebrate Christmas in America for hundreds of years. It's not until the Germans came, the Germans were into celebrating Christmas. They brought it later and it became popular and they started celebrating it. But the early Christians that went to America did not celebrate Christmas. It was considered heretical. So even from a Christian point of view, it's not acceptable. But if we go and we try to explain to a Christian who feels, you know, what's the harm? We have to explain to them. When a Christian says to us, Happy Eid, Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha, we have to ask them, do you really not believe in this Eid? Do you really not share in us the concepts of Eid? Eid al-Adha, what is it about? It is celebrating Prophet Abraham's preparedness to sacrifice his son. You believe that? So you're saying Happy Eid to us is joining us in something you believe in. When you say Happy Eid for Eid al-Fitr, the idea that after fasting, giving, sharing food with others, do you not believe in the concept of fasting? Didn't Moses and Jesus both fast for 40 days and nights without eating anything? You believe in that. It's a part of your belief. So saying to us, happy Eid, you're sharing in things that we believe in. Whereas, if a Satan worshipper, you Christian, my friend Christian, if a Satan worshipper came to you and said to you, Happy Satan's Day, would you reply to them, Happy Satan's Day to you? No, you wouldn't. Why not? It's just cordial. No, because the idea of Satan's Day is evil. This is evil. The point is for us as Muslims, if we don't believe that God was born on the 25th of December, then where did that idea come from? If Jesus never taught it, his disciples never taught it, then where do you think the idea that God was born on the 25th of December came from? Satan. Christmas, in reality, is Satan's day. It is Satan's day. It is a satanic idea. It is an idea of misguidance. It is the basis of people who believe that God became a man and was born. It is satanic. This is not divine. God never revealed it. God never taught it. It is Satan who taught it. Through human beings, that idea spread, and it's become commonplace today. Thank you. I'm sorry about your question. I know you'd like to ask it, but I've already been asked to stop at this point. Perhaps you can catch me as I'm leaving. If you have the question, I can try to answer it for you. Or raise it in the lecture tomorrow, if you can come. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.